Welcome back to 2A Updates. Today, we are diving into a landmark Supreme Court decision that every gun owner in the United States needs to understand. The court has issued a unanimous 9-0 ruling that fundamentally changes gun ownership rules across the country. This isn't just another court decision. It's a historic moment for the Second Amendment, and it will have far-reaching implications for gun owners, law enforcement, and even lawmakers for years to come. In this video, we're going to walk through the top 5 implications of this ruling, provide historical context, explore real-life scenarios, and offer practical guidance so that you can fully understand what this means for you and your rights. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to 2A Updates and turn on notifications. Staying informed about Second Amendment developments isn't optional. It's essential for responsible gun ownership. By subscribing, you help the channel continue to bring accurate, timely, and actionable news that directly impacts your rights and freedoms. Now let's start by looking at the background of this case. This Supreme Court ruling builds on decades of precedent that have gradually shaped modern gun rights in America. Many of you may recall the landmark District of Columbia versus Heller decision in 2008, which was the first time the Supreme Court recognized an individual's right to possess a firearm for lawful purposes, such as self-defense in the home. Then came McDonald v. Chicago in 2010, which applied these protections to the states, meaning that state and local governments could no longer impose blanket bans on firearms. These cases were foundational, but ambiguity remained, especially around restrictions targeting specific types of firearms, magazine capacities, and other ownership regulations. This latest 9-0 Supreme Court decision goes even further. Unlike Heller and McDonald, which primarily addressed handguns, this case examined broader regulatory restrictions and clarified exactly how far both federal and state authorities can go when regulating firearms. The court emphasized that any law restricting gun ownership must comply strictly with Second Amendment protections, and vague or overreaching regulations will now face heightened scrutiny. This is a monumental victory for gun owners across the country, providing clarity that has been missing for decades. So, what does this ruling mean in practice? Let's break it down, starting with the first major implication: nationwide scope. Before this ruling, gun owners faced a confusing patchwork of laws. In some states, certain firearms were completely legal, while in others, those same firearms could be restricted or banned. Traveling with firearms across state lines could be risky because a gun legal in one state might make you vulnerable to legal trouble in another. Now, thanks to this unanimous Supreme Court decision, there is a clear national standard. States can no longer interpret the Second Amendment loosely to justify restrictive laws. Whether you live in Texas, California, Florida, or New York, this ruling provides stronger constitutional protections and requires law enforcement to apply these protections consistently. The clarity provided by the Supreme Court eliminates ambiguity and reduces legal risk for responsible gun owners. The second implication concerns specific firearm ownership restrictions. Many states impose rules requiring registration of certain firearms, banning certain rifle types, or limiting magazine capacity. The Supreme Court has now clarified that broad, sweeping restrictions must undergo strict constitutional scrutiny. In simpler terms, authorities can't arbitrarily limit your rights. They must provide a strong legal justification. For example, if a state tries to ban a type of rifle across the board without clear justification, that law could now be challenged successfully in court. This empowers gun owners to better understand and defend their rights. It's a reminder that the Second Amendment is not a symbolic right. It's a protected constitutional guarantee that carries real weight in legal challenges. The third major effect is on law enforcement procedures. This ruling doesn't just impact ownership, it also changes how law enforcement approaches firearm regulation. Officers must now consider constitutional protections before attempting to enforce restrictive laws. For instance, if an officer tries to seize a firearm in a manner that violates these clarified rights, gun owners now have a stronger foundation to challenge such actions in court. This ruling may also influence law enforcement training, ensuring that officers across the nation are aware of these constitutional protections. It is a win for responsible gun owners because it provides clear boundaries against potential overreach and protects the principle of due process. The fourth implication affects permits, background checks, and administrative procedures. While the Supreme Court did not eliminate oversight, it imposed limits on what authorities can demand from gun owners. Blanket denials, overly broad restrictions, or unnecessary bureaucratic hurdles are now subject to legal challenge. For example, if you live in a state with stringent background checks, this ruling ensures that authorities cannot use excessively restrictive criteria to deny lawful gun ownership. Gun owners need to pay close attention to how these changes affect permit processes, renewals, and registration requirements. Staying informed and compliant prevents unnecessary legal complications and ensures that your rights are protected. The fifth, and perhaps most important implication, is the long-term legal landscape. This 9-0 ruling will serve as precedent for future court cases and legislative efforts. Lawyers, lawmakers, and courts will now have to consider this decision when drafting or enforcing gun laws. If new legislation is proposed that conflicts with this ruling, it will face intense legal scrutiny. Responsible gun owners who understand the ruling and its ramifications will be in a stronger position to protect their rights and challenge laws that overstep constitutional boundaries. To make this more tangible, let's explore some real-world examples. In California, certain rifles and magazines have historically been heavily restricted. Post-ruling, these restrictions will now face stricter legal scrutiny. In New York, which has complex handgun and concealed carry regulations, owners may now have stronger grounds to challenge broad or ambiguous restrictions. Even in states with traditionally permissive gun laws, like Texas or Florida, this decision strengthens existing protections and ensures that they cannot be easily rolled back. The ruling applies nationwide, creating a robust framework for Second Amendment protections that gun owners in all 50 states can rely on. This decision also underscores the importance of practical steps for responsible gun ownership. Make sure your firearms are properly registered where required, comply with existing laws, and maintain all necessary documentation. If you travel between states, research the specific laws in those states, because while the Supreme Court ruling strengthens constitutional protections, local enforcement and interpretations may still vary. Staying informed and proactive is crucial for protecting your rights and avoiding legal complications. Another important consideration is how this ruling will shape future legislative efforts. Lawmakers who previously relied on broad regulatory authority will now face increased constraints. Expect new gun laws to be carefully scrutinized and challenged based on the precedents set by this decision. This isn't just a single case, it's a roadmap for understanding your rights and anticipating future legal developments. Gun owners who stay educated will be better positioned to safeguard their freedoms in the face of evolving legislation. In addition, the ruling has implications for community safety and advocacy. Responsible gun owners now have a stronger voice when engaging with policymakers or participating in local and national advocacy efforts. By understanding the legal framework established by this decision, owners can make informed arguments that support responsible gun ownership while respecting public safety. This strengthens both the rights of gun owners and the broader community dialogue around firearms. Finally, this decision is a call to action for all gun owners. The Supreme Court has clarified your rights, but knowledge alone isn't enough. It's critical to stay informed, stay responsible, and stay engaged. This ruling is a victory, but it's also a reminder that legal protections must be actively understood and defended. In summary, this Supreme Court ruling is a milestone in Second Amendment law. Its nationwide scope, clarified ownership rules, implications for law enforcement, guidance on permits and background checks, influence on future legislation, and practical steps for responsible ownership all demand careful attention. This decision is more than a legal opinion. It is a framework for protecting your rights and ensuring they are respected in every state. As always, we will continue to monitor developments related to this ruling, including how state and federal authorities adapt their policies. Staying informed isn't optional for responsible gun owners. It's essential. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to 2A Updates. Engaging with the channel ensures more viewers get critical information and keeps you up to date with the latest Second Amendment news. Thank you for watching, and remember, understanding your rights is the first step to protecting them. We will continue providing expert analysis and the latest updates right here on 2A Updates. Stay safe, stay informed, and stay responsible.